It's January 12th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the seizure of an oil tanker by Iran in the Gulf of Oman. 5 armed men with masks on reportedly boarded the vessel St. Nicholas and ordered a change of course towards an Iranian port in retaliation for the U.S. confiscating the same vessel and its oil last year. The U.S. called on the Iranian government to immediately free the ship and its crew. U.S. consumer prices rose 0.3% in December. That's higher than expected at a time when inflationary pressures are expected to ease. The increase was mostly driven by higher costs of housing, as well as dining out and car insurance. The Asian Football Confederation's Asian Cup 2023 kicks off today over in Qatar. Team Korea is looking to bring home the Asian Cup after over 6 decades. Iran state media says Iran has captured an oil tanker destined for Turkey in the Gulf of Oman. The confiscation is apparently retaliation for the same ship and oil that it had aboard being seized by the U.S. last year. Our Shin Ha-young starts us off.
The Iranian Navy seized an oil tanker, the St. Nicholas, in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday morning local time, according to Iran's state-run Tasnim news agency. The media outlet reported that the action was taken in compliance with an order from an Iranian court and was allegedly in retaliation for the confiscation of the same tanker and Iranian oil by the U.S. last year. According to the BBC, the oil tanker was in transit between the Iraqi port of Basra to its intended destination in Turkey when it was boarded by masked gunmen who ordered that the vessel's course be altered toward an Iranian port. There is believed to be 1 Greek and 18 Filipino nationals aboard as crew members on the Marshall Islands flagged ship. The location of the seizure is the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil trading route for major oil production countries, including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and Iraq. 1/3 of the world's natural gas consumption and 1/6 of the world's oil passes through the region. In response, the White House strongly condemned the action and urged the ship's immediate release.
The Iranian government should immediately release the ship and its crew. These provocative and unacceptable actions need to stop. We'll continue to work with our allies and partners to deter and confront the full range of Iran's concerning and destabilizing behavior in close coordination, of course.
There is also speculation that the seizure may also be retaliation for ongoing tension in the Middle East. Iran has previously warned of a strong response to the conflict in Gaza, as well as the assassination of a Hezbollah leader and airstrikes on Iran-linked facilities in Syria. And with attacks by Yemen's Houthi rebels on ships passing through the Red Sea, the capture of the St. Nicholas is expected to further intensify tensions in the region. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
And we are just learning that the U.S. and the UK have begun airstrikes against Houthi rebel targets in Yemen. This comes just a day after Washington warned Houthis they would be held accountable for continued attacks in the Red Sea. We'll bring more details in our later newscast. Now, moving on, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says Russia received more than 1 million rounds of ammunition from North Korea. Zelenskyy on Thursday said during a visit to Estonia that Russia is also negotiating the purchase of Iranian missiles. He also stressed the supplies of weapons to Russia by the enemies of the U.S. highlights the need for the West to continue providing weapons to Ukraine. On the same day, the U.S. State Department condemned the arms exchange between Moscow and Pyongyang and stressed the role that Beijing needs to play to prevent it. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel added that all countries that have ties to the North or Russia have a responsibility to help prevent such provocative acts. Top diplomats of South Korea and the U.S. have reaffirmed their efforts to firmly respond to any kind of provocation from North Korea. South Korea's new Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol held a phone call with his American counterpart Antony Blinken on Thursday evening, and they discussed issues on North Korea and their bilateral relations, as well as trilateral relations with Japan. The two officials agreed to close cooperation as they condemned the North's nuclear and missile development and its military collaboration with Russia. South Korea's top court has once again ruled in favor of a Korean victim of wartime forced labor, ordering a Japanese company to pay a significant amount of compensation. And similar rulings were made in separate cases last month. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Pin explains.
Mr. Kim was taken from his home in Korea to Japan in March 1943 and was forced to work in a mill for Nippon Steel without being paid until he was able to return home in 1946 after Korea gained independence from Japan. He died in 2012, and the family of the late victim filed a suit against the Japanese company in 2015. On Thursday, South Korea's Supreme Court upheld the appellate court's decision, ordering Nippon Steel to pay 100 million Korean won, or about $76,000 in compensation to Mr. Kim's wife and their 2 children. The top court made similar rulings in separate cases in December, ordering Nippon Steel and other Japanese companies, such as Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, to pay as much as 150 million Korean won, or about $111,000 to each victim. But the Japanese companies are likely to continue refusing to pay, and the Korean government is expected to compensate the victims instead, using funds procured through a public foundation. Such a plan was announced earlier this year to improve relations with Japan.
Since last March, following the announcement of our government's plan to resolve the forced labor issue, we have been paying the delayed compensation interest to the plaintiffs through the Foundation for Victims of Forced Mobilization by Imperial Japan. There's no change in our policy to continue making such payments in accordance with ongoing court decisions.
Japanese companies have yet to pay the previously ordered compensation, claiming the statute of limitations has expired. But last month, the top court clarified that this would not be allowed. 배은지, Arirang News.
There are 2 jinx for Team Korea that come around during the Asian Cup season. One is that whichever team beats South Korea wins that competition. And second is that whichever team beats the host country wins the final. We turn to Kim Tae-ryung this morning to discuss South Korea's chances. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. The 2023 Asian Cup begins today, January 12th, over in Qatar. I cannot help but mention those jinx that I just brought out. Where are these jinx actually based on?
You're right. The team that defeated Korea is the last 4 Asian Cups became the champion. Let's look at them one by one. The 27 champion defeated Korea in a penalty shootout in the semifinals. 2011 champion Japan also won a penalty shootout against Korea in the semifinals. In 2015, Australia defeated Korea 2-1 in the final, and 2019, Qatar beat Korea in the quarterfinal and won the trophy. To elaborate on the second jinx, the country that eliminates the host country from the tournament wins the trophy. In 2019, Qatar beat the host country UAE in the semifinals, and 2011, Japan beat the host Qatar in the quarterfinals. In 2007 and 2004, Japan and Iraq defeated host Vietnam and China on their way to becoming champion. Of course, this jinx is not a good memory for Korea. Korea has been very close to winning the trophy in the past 4 Asian Cups, but due to small difference and bad luck, we failed the title.
Right, it's been so close, but these are a mere jinx. The host of this season, like I mentioned, is Qatar, which means if South Korea makes it into a semifinal against Qatar and beats them, Team Korea will be able to get over that jinx and go all the way to the victory. What's your take on the possibility of South Korea winning the competition outright?
Considering the tournament schedule and matchups, Korea and Qatar could meet in the semifinals. If the 2 countries meet, it will be an opportunity for Korea to avenge its loss in the last Asian Cup. Playing against the host country is always really difficult. If Korea can mobilize its full squad, I think we can beat Qatar. But first, we have to advance to the tournament stage first.
All right, I have to ask you as a soccer expert, what is it in your opinion that Team Korea should be mindful of or focus on to bring home the victory? Any tactics or strategies?
Yes, the Korean national team is continuing a good rhythm under Klinsmann. There's been a lot of controversy about Klinsmann's work style, but Korea has won all last 6 international matches. The current Korean national team is made up of the golden generation, and since Korea is a strong team in Asia, I'm looking forward to the players' individual abilities. That is why it's very important to manage players' condition and prevent injuries. Korea will face a lot of problems if 2 or 3 key players will be absent. Against, we have to watch out for injuries and cards because the results are important in this Asian Cup. Korea must retain its best members.
Definitely. Now, this season must be an exciting news for a lot of fans here in the country, but also the Asian Cup this year is going to be a big one for South Korea's coach Klinsmann, isn't it?
He's a superstar in ancient Asia. When classifying type of generals, they talked about brave generals and clever generals and wise generals. However, there is a saying that the best among them is a general with luck. I wish Klinsmann good luck. He's a manager type head coach, not a strategist, but he's a different type of character than Paulo Bento. A method that failed in the past may be suitable for now. Of course, it could be other way around, but there is no right answer in football. As I said, the Korean team currently has many star players, so Klinsmann's method may be suitable for the current Korean team. Regardless of the result, Klinsmann will probably be very busy after the Asian Cup. For now, let's cheer and watch.
Right, definitely. That's why the Asian Cup is so important for Team Korea. Now, why is it that then it's so important for Team Korea this season? What's coming next?
Why is the Asian Cup important to the Korean team? Challenge for the Asian Championship after 64 years? Maybe the pride of Asia's leader? Or Sonheung-min, Kim Min-jae, Lee Gang-in, the Golden Generation boys? Yes, it all makes sense. It's my personal opinion, but even if Korea doesn't win the trophy at this Asian Cup, there won't be any major problem for the national team. If both the process and results are bad, maybe the head coach can be changed, and KFA will prepare for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in a new format. This is a familiar situation for Korean football fans. Fortunately, there is time until the next World Cup. However, the status and meaning of football have recently grown in Korean society. Football means more than a sport in Korea now. The Korean team is made up of great players, and more than anything, I hope the great energy of the Korean team that has continued since the last World Cup in Qatar will be continued.
Right, fingers crossed for Team Korea this season, and also can't wait for the first match against Bahrain next Monday.
It is. Anyway, the first game is always important, so
right.
Wish you good luck.
All right, thanks so much for your time this morning. You have a great day.
Thank you very much, and have a good nice day.
According to the U.S. Labor Department, prices consumers pay for goods and services went up more than expected in December. Now, pundits say the latest figures suggest it's too early for the Fed to start cutting interest rates. Lee Seung-jae has more.
U.S. consumer prices rose 0.3% in December, higher than the market expectation of 0.2%. On a 12-month basis, U.S. CPI rose 3.4%, also exceeding market expectations of 3.2%. Core CPI, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, also rose 0.3% for the month and 3.9% year-on-year. However, the on-year core reading was the lowest since May 2021. The larger-than-expected gains in consumer prices come on the back of rising shelter prices and healthcare. Shelter prices rose 0.5% for the month and accounted for more than half the core CPI increase. On year, shelter costs rose 6.2%, or roughly two-thirds of the rise in inflation. The U.S. Fed believes significant progress has been made in stabilizing prices, but the current interest rate level will have to be maintained for the time being. However, Fed and market consensus has been split on the number of rate cuts in 2024. While the Fed believes there will be 3 rate cuts in the year, markets expect 6 rate cuts this year. Meanwhile, on the first day of Bitcoin ETF trading in the U.S. on Thursday, prices of Bitcoin rose sharply before dropping back down. According to American cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, the price of Bitcoin exceeded $49,000 on some exchanges in the early trading period, but fell back down to the 46,000 range later in the afternoon. Citing experts, a CNBC report said that Bitcoin prices will go down for the time being due to profit-taking. The second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, Ethereum, also saw a sharp increase in its price. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission approved the listing and trading of Bitcoin spot ETF, with trading beginning on the New York Stock Exchange on Thursday. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Microsoft briefly took over Apple on Thursday as the world's most valuable company. Throughout Thursday's trading on New York Stock Exchange, Microsoft surpassed Apple at multiple points, including when its value reached $2.87 trillion and Apple shares fell by 1%. But Apple reclaimed the top spot as the trading day wore on. It is the first time that Microsoft had taken over Apple since 2021. Observers say the stock price surge was led by the company's cloud computing services and investment in AI sector, mainly OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT. Over in Las Vegas, the CES event that puts a spotlight on the world's finest technologies is ongoing. And Korean companies are once again making a splash. Our Lee Soo-jin tells us.
The Consumer Electronics Show 2024 has returned in full force. And South Korea is making its presence known with the third most companies participating this year.
The energy is so, full and excitement, and I think everybody's just wondering, like, what are we going to discover? What's new? What's exciting? And in particular, for me, it's what do global companies bring?
With AI taking center stage at this year's CES, Samsung revealed at the event the AI-integrated revamped robot companion, Bali. The new and improved Bali has built-in projectors that can stream phone calls and cooking videos onto the walls of people's homes. Another key theme was mobility, or more specifically, air mobility, as flying cars stole the show. Supernal, Hyundai Motors' advanced air mobility company, unveiled a prototype for its latest electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle that is expected to be up and running by 2028. But it's not just big-name South Korean companies that are attracting attention, as a record number of South Korean startups were awarded innovation awards. Local startups also emphasize the importance of advanced technologies.
We were able to win innovation awards in both the drones and unmanned systems and the human security for all categories, because the marine salvage and recovery market is becoming increasingly influenced by the robotics market.
Sheco is a startup that develops environmental solutions, and its aquatic cleaning drone uses a rotor to direct water inside the device, where it separates the pollutants with mesh filters. It then discharges the purified water back into the ocean. Another startup that won an innovation award is The Little Cat, a digital pet healthcare company. It took home the accolade for its device that measures body composition in cats. The app shows various information such as the weight, BMI, fat and protein level, and recommends cat food based on the data. And for these startups, CES is important because it opens the door to more business opportunities.
We've already had buyers and distributors from all over the world contact us thanks to CES.
With CES drawing to a close, there's no doubt that South Korean companies have once again helped provide a closer look into the future of consumer technology. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Seong, and now we turn over to stories from around the world. We begin today in Papua New Guinea, where the Prime Minister declared a 14-day state of emergency in the country's capital on Thursday after at least 16 people were killed in rioting. Papua New Guinea authorities reported on Thursday that 9 people died in the capital, Port Moresby, with a further 7 killed in the city of Lae amid widespread looting and arson in riots, which began on Wednesday. Prime Minister James Marape said on Thursday that more than 1,000 soldiers are on standby to step in wherever necessary as shops and cars were torched and looted. He also suspended Papua New Guinea's chief of police and top officials in the finance and treasury departments. Police and public sector workers went on strike on Wednesday over a pay cut, which the government claimed to be an administrative glitch. The unrest follows the growing tension over high unemployment and rising costs. In Poland's capital, Warsaw, tens of thousands of opposition supporters gathered outside the country's parliament on Thursday in protest against the new Liberal government's change to the state media and imprisonment of 2 former ministers. President Andrzej Duda, an ally of the ousted Populist Law and Justice Party, said on Thursday that he has started the procedures to pardon the 2 former ministers who were jailed this week for abuse of power. The new pro-European government, led by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, has been reversing some often criticized policies of its populist predecessor. Germany's foreign minister on Thursday criticized China's aggressive actions in the South China Sea, saying that it violates the rights of other countries like the Philippines. Germany's top diplomat, Annalena Baerbock, held talks on Thursday with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and other top officials on a 2-day official visit. She said that Germany was prepared to help de-escalate growing tensions and set up mechanisms for peaceful resolutions of disputes. China claims sovereignty over almost the entirety of the South China Sea, cutting into the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia. Beijing has rejected The Hague's Permanent Court of Arbitration 2016 ruling that China's claims have no legal basis. The Vatican on Thursday unveiled plans for the restoration of the monumental baldachin, the canopy over the main altar of St. Peter's Basilica. The $770,000 restoration and conservation project, funded entirely by the Knights of Columbus, a Catholic fraternal organization, marks the first comprehensive work on the structure in 250 years. The 10-story tall baldachin was commissioned by Pope Urban VIII and created by Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the 17th century. The Vatican has pledged to complete the work on Bernini's masterpiece in time for Pope Francis' 2025 Jubilee.
Good morning. We'll continue to be trapped in high levels of ultrafine dust. Right now, central parts of the country and Jeju are choking on dusty air, with a dust advisory issued in Gyeonggi-do province. Dusty air will get worse through this afternoon before things improve later in the day when northwesterly winds blow in. Morning lows are 1 to 5 degrees higher than the same time yesterday in most places. Then highs will go up similar to slightly higher. Then this weekend will be a mild one with normal air quality with mix of rain and snow in the forecast on Sunday in most places. Sunny skies will be welcomed by many with better air to breathe in later. Eastern parts of the country, however, will be windy today. Seoul gets up to 4 degrees, Jeju topping out at 13 degrees Celsius this afternoon. We are supposed to have the coldest temperatures of the season around this time. Well, Sunday's precipitation will bring colder air to the country early next week, but nothing to be worried about. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back next week for Monday's edition at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.